what is health, folks? If I said to you that person looks healthy, what do you think health is? Let's look at the World Health Organization. Okay, so they came up with this definition of health. Okay, so health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely just an absence of disease or infirmity. So just because I'm not sick doesn't mean I'm healthy, does it? I mean, I'll show you a lot of people out there that are not sick that are certainly not healthy. So that's the way the World Health Organization have defined it. But that was in 1946, and we've kind of moved on a little bit from there, because we're now saying that wellness, and this is sort of your discoveries, and that this is what they quoted as, is a state of optimal well-being that is orientated towards maximizing an individual's potential. Right? So this is a lifelong process of moving towards enhancing your physical, intellectual, emotional, social, obviously important, spiritual, and environmental well-being. So that's a very long definition, isn't it? So I like to put it in a nutshell. For me, being healthy is being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So a lot of people can't go out and just do what they want to do when they want to do it, because physically they're not able to. They might not be healthy enough. They might actually not even have the ability to run, up a hill or run 100 meters or go outside and go play soccer with their child, because they're not healthy. So, we talk about engaging in health, and this little kid here, I don't know if you guys have seen this video, but he's able to do what the hell he wants to do when he wants to do it, okay? Because you'll see what he's about to do here. So, from a physical standpoint, these little kids, and this is the level of what kids can do. Kids can do this stuff, okay? He's doing it all by himself. So, the point I'm making is, what changes from that to sitting at a table here and not being able to do that? So, for me, obviously the aging process plays a big role in this, but I can show you some 80-year-olds that can do some unbelievable things, because they don't stop trying to do that. For me, health has got two things. Okay, basically your body, this thing that we live in, this thing that we have, this protoplasm, right, is basically just a bunch of tubes. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, when I'm healthy, I have the tubes minus obstructive toxic plaque. We know what plaque is, right? What's plaque? Plaque is the stuff you get in your teeth, right? Yeah. It's also that stuff that builds in your veins and kills you when you have a heart attack. Okay. So tubes plus obstructive toxic plaque, that just means I'm unhealthy, right? Because things get blocked. If my tubes are blocked, my body's not happy. Things can't flow. My body's 70% water anyway, so obviously things need to move, and I'm liquid. So if my tubes are blocked, I'm in trouble. Right, so folks, what blocks our tubes? You tell me. Yeah, food. Usually the food we eat. Okay? The stuff we put on our bodies. Okay? So I haven't discerned one or the other, both there. Alright? Let's look at it. So, the problem with fast foods is that, for me, that it's actually not real food. It's not real food. It's a fake food. And because it's plastic. If we take a McDonald's burger or Burger King burger, or a long life milk, for an easy example, we could take a long life milk, right? Open it and put it here on the table, and we could leave it there. We could come in on Friday, and you could actually open it, and you could take that glass of milk and you could drink it. Okay, same thing with the McDonald's burger. You could open the box, leave it here, and come back 5 days later, and you could eat that burger. You probably have to throw away the lettuce, that might be a little brown and manky, but you could eat everything else. The thing is, bacteria comes in, right? There's bacteria everywhere, right? The bacteria everywhere, all around us at all times. Bacteria comes here, and it comes over, and it sees that McDonald's burger, and it goes, no, that's not food, and it goes off somewhere else, okay? To go and find food. We all, look at that. Bacteria is smarter than us, folks. That is not food. That stuff is fake food. It's plastic, all right? And it's designed in such a way to be that way so that it can last and that it can. It's about money making, right? Because if it perishes, then it's a waste of money, right? So I always say to my clients, like, if you're going to shop in a grocery store, shop around there outside, because that's where the fresh produce is, isn't it? No, because that's the stuff they have to take in and out. Because when it gets old, they have to remove it in and then bring new stuff out. The stuff in the aisles, that can kind of stay there, can't it? You can stay there for months. That's not food, folks. Right. A big thing for me is vitamins. How many of you take a multivitamin here? Who takes a multivitamin? That's so few. Why don't the rest of you take vitamins? Do you eat lots of fruit and vegetables? Yeah, chicken. I hate chicken. That's a good vegetable, isn't it? Yeah. So, guys, let's first and foremost go over one thing. We cannot get the right amount of vitamins and nutrients and minerals from the food that we eat today, that we buy from the store. I'm afraid we can't. Just with modern farming techniques and GMO and all that sort of stuff, you don't get the same level of nutrition out of an apple that you used to get 50 years ago. So when they say you need 5 or 6 servings of fruit and vegetables in 1977, when they put together that food pyramid, it's probably about 25 servings now to get the same value. So I'm afraid we have to supplement with vitamins, with a multivitamin of some sort. Okay, that's it. So it's very important that you guys know this, because a lot of people end up taking what's called a synthetic vitamin. Okay? So a synthetic vitamin is something that's manufactured in a laboratory, in a pharmaceutical lab. Right? So do you guys understand what, you guys remember chemistry? So, you did chemistry at school? That's why you got this, okay? So do you remember what the molecular structure of an atom looks, okay? So we got...
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember this, okay? Okay, so there's CH3, okay, right? So, so when we've got that structure, like, I can't draw in a 3D environment. When I do this sort of, everything's got like in a 3D structure, okay, right? Those things come off at all sorts of different angles off that carbon. So nature does that perfectly every single time. Every single time it makes CH3 to look exactly the same, okay? The problem is we cannot synthetically reproduce that every single time. Okay, so let's look at it. What's one of the most popular supplements or vitamins that people should take? Well, it's getting cold now, so we should take vitamin C. Okay, right. So vitamin C is getting cold. You want to boost your immune system. Make sure you can fight off the flu. You don't get sick. I've got lessons to give tomorrow. Okay. So why do we take vitamin C? To be healthy. Now, what often happens is that vitamin C molecule that comes in goes through my gut, through my intestine, goes to the microvilli in my intestine, and it goes to a receptor. And the mechanoreceptor receives that vitamin C and goes, yep, I'll take that in, and then it goes. But only if its molecular structure is correct. As soon as it's faulty, the body, as it comes in, it goes, no, I don't recognize that, and it passes it through. So how many of you take a multivitamin or take Barocca or calcium or any of those type of supplements? Okay, what happens to your pee? Bright yellow. You are literally pissing your money away. Literally. That's what you're doing. Okay? Now, I'm afraid that's if you're lucky. If you're lucky, that happens. If you're unlucky, which unfortunately most often happens, that's faulty vitamin C that gets rid, goes, I don't recognize that. And instead of discarding it, it sets off an alarm bell saying, that is a pathogen, we need to fight that. So it calls on your T cells and your immune system to fight the very thing that you are putting in your body to make you feel better. Meanwhile, your flu virus is going, scot-free, let's go. Okay. So basically, you are dividing your armory that can fight off the very thing that you're trying to fight. Okay. So that's where the supplements and sort of lifeless products is a real issue for me. And you want to be looking at organic products. Something that comes from an organic base. Okay. And then pills and capsules. So, I mean, a lot of people, I get sick, pop a pill. I'm not feeling great, pop a pill. Geez, now I'm tired, pop a pill. Oh God, now I'm so tired, I can't wake up, pop another pill. Okay, but people live like this, they really do, and it's actually quite frightening. How many people rely on drugs and capsules and things to get them through their day? From the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they're popping pills to make them do each whatever process it is that they're going through. So, you guys know what a neuron looks like. Oh, what a neuron looks like. Okay, so you got basically, and then that's basically what it looks like. This here is called my synapse. Okay, it's the gap between one node and the next neuron, and that's called my synaptic junction. And in my synaptic junction is stuff called synaptic fluid. And omega-3 is really important for the synaptic fluid. So it helps with the conductivity of neural impulses. So basically, make sure that my brain function is operating, and helps for information to be transferred from one neuron to the next, right? So that's why it's important for brain function. It's also really important for cardiovascular health as well. So you should be taking a fish oil, absolutely, if you can, omega-3s. Every living cell in the body dies and is replaced every 2 years. So every single cell in my body, that's living, not this Not this hard, scaly scars, and that's that, obviously. But the living cells. So that is replaced every 2 years. And it's done using the very food that I put in my body. Right? So when I eat protein, I have protein, right? It breaks down into its structure, and it's got this sort of helix structure with like a ladder. All those individual runs, that's all your amino acids, right? Lysine, arginine, all that stuff. Okay. So those basic ladders are used, those ladder runs are then put in to create new DNA structures, to build new cells. So that happens every 2 years. So when we come over here on Friday, and we grab our McDonald's burger, and we eat it, okay? Part of that McDonald's burger goes to make a cell in your heart. And part of that McDonald's burger goes to make a cell in your eye, and one goes to make a cell in your pancreas, and another one goes to make a cell in your rectus femoris muscle in your thigh. So you literally are what you eat. So do you want to be eating crap? Because basically, that's what you are going to become. You are going to become crap. Crap. And a lot of people live like this. Oh, sorry. A lot of people live like that. They do. They live at the McDonald's or at the KFC or at the Burger King or whatever it is. And you only need to drive past there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday evening to see the queue at the drive-thru to see that that's how people live. Alcohol and aspartame. So, let me talk about aspartame, seeing as we're talking about sugar. Well, what is aspartame, or emulsified K? Sweet. It's a sweetener. Okay, Canderel, those Canderel sweetener things. That's sweetener. That's aspartame. You find it in all diet drinks. Coke Zero, Sprite Zero. Right? They took out sugar and they put aspartame in to sweeten it up to give you the sweetness. The thing is, aspartame is actually a registered toxin. So the FDA in the States, they've actually registered aspartame and emulsified K as a toxin. It actually kills cells in your body. Right? And the problem is most people use it because they think, well, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to cut sugar, trying to cut the calories. There's no calories in a Coke Light because there's no sugar. Right? The problem is that they've actually realized now that what it does is aspartame inhibits a chemical called GLUT4, and GLUT4 is actually what drives fat cells into the muscles to be broken down and metabolized for energy. It inhibits that very hormone that does that. So, you're drinking your Coke Light because you don't want to take the calories. The problem is all the calories that you're taking in with your McDonald's burger are now actually being processed, and your fat is not going into your muscle, it's going to be stored as adipose tissue. So many people feel sick, I feel ill, I feel crap, I feel crap. Because I'm pretty crap my way. I feel crap, let me go to the doctor. I'm going to go see the doctor will sort me out. That's what the doctor's good for. Okay, not playing golf, although they do that often. Surgery. If you need surgery, if you're in a car accident or your appendix bursts, absolutely you better go to the A&E. There's links for this right here, so you'll be okay. But so many people go to the doctor straight away because they're like, well, I'm sick, give me a pill, give me a medicine, give me an ointment, give me whatever. There's a guy, Don Tolman, and he's presented at the last 2 Walk Off Fitness Summits. A wonderful man, a bit eccentric, but very, very entertaining. And he was saying that any ailment or any sickness or illness or disease can be cured within 6 days, 6 to 7 days, if you have good rest, good nutrition, good water. Right? And it's true. Your body has an ability to fight off infection. Your immune system actually builds itself up by fighting infection. If you don't give your immune system a chance to actually defend itself and fight off that infection, you are weakening your very own self-defense system, right? We know that. Yes? I need to build up my immune system. So the problem is a lot of people go to doctors and they just end up treating everything with pills the whole time. But their body can't fight off any infection at all. And this is a real issue because people say to me, organic food is a problem because it's so expensive. Isn't it? Why is it expensive, folks? Okay, it goes through more processes to get there. Okay, a guy I was at varsity with, he supplies lettuce to Woolworths. And he just said to me, the process that he has to go, it's very strict. The regulations, they come and they check and they make sure everything's done properly. And he said it's an expensive process, but he says it's worth it because people are actually starting to buy more lettuce. He actually nearly went under, but now with this whole health kick, he says he owes Tim Noakes his life. Because now people have started realizing, I actually need to get healthy here. I need to start eating properly. And the sale of lettuce has gone up. And health organic foods. The problem is that it's expensive because of the processes that it needs to go through to keep it, organic. Because it's not all this cheap cost-cutting, farm out the same field every single year. He has to let fields lie fallow and all that sort of stuff. The other thing is that because people weren't buying it, so we need to raise the demand for lettuce, so the more people buy the organic lettuce, so that they sell more, so that the cost comes down for the farm. Then suddenly, organic lettuce won't be expensive anymore, because more people are buying it. So it's a catch-22 situation, isn't it? Well, I'm not buying it because it's too expensive. Well, if you don't buy it, it's going to stay expensive and you're going to die. Relationships. We need healthy relationships. Healthy, happy relationships are very important for self-care and health. Usually, a lot of the time we are in dis-ease is because these things are a problem. Okay, a lot of people who suffer heart attacks and things like that are because they're stressed. Okay, their relationships with their family, their friends, their spouses, their work colleagues is a problem. That's why they end up having a stroke or a heart attack. And because of the stress level that these relationships put on your body, that end up causing problems. That's what causes the dis-ease that then ends up with the manifestation of a physical problem. And finally, passion. Folks, we all need a passion. There, passion. I mean, I think that's why we're all in the golf industry, isn't it? We're not in it to make money, right? Obviously, but I'm just being honest. No, but why did you start? Why did you get into the golf industry, Steve? Why did you become a golf coach?
I wanted to be broke my whole life, right? I wanted to play golf. I wanted to be good.
I see, passion. Yeah, that's what we're about. John, why did you get into coaching? Yeah. John, why? You enjoy helping people. That's your passion. Yeah, Andrew, why did you join the PGA? Yeah, it's passion, and that's it there. We've got passion in our lives, and we are very fortunate to be pursuing our passion. My passion is my occupation. I don't work a day in my life, I seriously don't. I love my job. I cannot wait to get to work. Every day, I see these people sitting in the car. I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go. Okay, and seriously, folks, if you don't look at this with importance in your life, you've got a problem. Change it. I was very fortunate. I went to there was a thing with 5FM the other day, and I met a good old friend of mine who I was at varsity with. And I was chatting to him, and he's now working for 5FM. And I said to him, but didn't you study, you were German? No, it wasn't journalism. Finance. I said to him, would you in finance? He says, yeah. He says, I was in the finance game. And 4 years ago, I woke up and I thought, you know what, I'm done. I'm not enjoying this. I hate my job. I hate my life. I've always loved music. I want to get into music. And he learned music. He went to an adult class. You know those things where you go sit in a hall somewhere? He went to an adult class and he started learning music. And he became a producer. He now produces house tunes. House music. That's what he does. He's 9. He's 38. He's now DJing, producing music. He's produced music for some of the biggest South African dance acts. And how's that? In 4 years, he's gone from driving his car to Santon with the gravy train. He's changed his life around and is now working for 5FM as a station producer. That's unbelievable. So you can do it. If you just want to. If you want to do it, you can do it. All right. So that's why I think you should play golf. Because golf has all those things, doesn't it? It has all those in it. Okay, so these are the doctors that you're going to require in your life. So Dr. Dyke, Dr. Five, Dr. Happiness, Dr. Rubin. Those are the doctors that we need. And if you look at those 4 doctors, that's what we need. Dr. Quiet. Okay. Why do we need quiet time? Well, we've got our natural rhythms that happen in our circadian rhythm in our body. Right? And we need rest. Our body needs time to recover. And a lot of people don't get adequate rest. Like I said, you must sleep, but you're not resting. And because when I sleep, my body repairs, regenerates, rejuvenates itself, and I'm actually becoming healthier. I'm actually adapting to the changes of the training that I've been doing. And this is a difficult thing with your type A personalities, which is a lot of professional golfers that we tend to work with, and a lot of professional individuals that you'll coach or train or teach at golf courses, is it's a go attitude. Okay? And they go hard, go hard, play hard, sleep hard. Okay? The thing is that I always explain to my athletes is I say, if we do a bicep curl, okay, lifting up the dumbbell doesn't make the muscle bigger. Lifting up the dumbbell actually tears and damages the muscle. It's the repair phase that happens at night while you sleep that actually makes the muscle grow bigger, right? So becoming better at whatever it is that we do is actually an adaptation to the demands of what we've put our body through. So if I just keep putting my body under more and more demand, I'm actually never getting any better. Because I don't give myself a chance to rest and recover. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things. You need to rest. Because of obviously my natural biorhythms, it allows my body to repair, regenerate, rejuvenate itself. Basically, we are a rechargeable biobattery. Okay? We need energy. Energy recharges our battery, and away we go. If you're not getting proper nutrition in, my battery is not going to recharge properly. That's basically what it comes down to. This thing we live in is reliance on the food that we put in our bodies to make sure that it's healthy. Now, this is a big thing. Eskimo or Bushman? Which one are you? Okay, so a lot of people say to me, well, what's with this whole Tim Noakes diet? This Tim Noakes thing, should I go on Tim Noakes? I have lost wheels with Tim Noakes. And then I'll be like, it's really bad for you, you're going to die. Okay, so do you guys know what this Tim Noakes diet is? Anyone heard of it? Oh, right, pretty much everyone has. Banting, okay. So it's a high-fat, low-carb diet. Or they call it low-carb, high-fat. Sorry, in the old days when it was before Tim Noakes came along, I used to call it high-fat, low-carb, and then I call it the LC high-fat, actually. If I'm an Eskimo, what do I eat? What do Eskimos eat? Fish, seals, fat, blubber. There's not a lot of veggies growing on the North Pole. Okay? So the Banting diet is perfect. Okay, they actually follow a ketogenic diet, which is basically what Banting's diet was. Cut out all the carbohydrates, lived off the protein and the fat. I got my energy from fat. That's what Tim Noakes is about. Okay, that's what this whole Banting diet and this whole, low carb, high fat diet. I keep getting it wrong. Because you're an Eskimo. That's fine. I'm an Eskimo. My blood type, my metabolic rates, everything like that. I'm an Eskimo. Okay, I metabolize food really quickly. Okay, I break it down. I'm warm. That's why I'm saying in a t-shirt. Okay, I generate heat. Right? So the high fat diet actually suits me because I can break it down quickly. That it's a high complex substance that breaks down to give me energy. If I live on carbs, they break down far too quickly for me. I feel tired very quickly. So if I have a bowl of oats in the morning, let's say, within 45 minutes to an hour, I'm tired again. Because I've broken that down, I've used it, and it's done. Okay. My wife, on the other hand, she's a bushman. Okay. She does really well on carbohydrate. What does a bushman eat? Bushman lives out in the desert. Not a lot of animals running around in the desert. They live a lot on bulbs and fruit and roots and lots of carbohydrate. You know, if a bokkie comes running past, they skid it, they'll eat it. Okay, but they tend to live more on carbohydrate, high carbohydrate diet. So we've got the different types of nutrition. We've got the paleo diet, we've got the Atkins diet, same type of thing. Okay. This low carb diet and this whole metabolic typing diet, and that's one that I follow is the metabolic typing. So we've got to figure out your metabolic type. Find your metabolic type. Are you a fast oxidizer? Are you slow oxidizer? Do you break down protein really quickly or not? Are you protein dominant, carbohydrate dominant? Are you mixed? Some people are in the middle. Okay, you've got to know that. Right. So there's a book by Walcott on metabolic typing. And to me, that's my Bible. Okay, so we've got the two options. Sorry. We've got the World Health Organization, okay, WHO. So in 1977, they came up with that, right? This whole food pyramid. Yes? Anyone who's been following Tim Noakes and is reading all about what he's on about, they're saying that this was created by the devil incarnate. But in actual fact, it was created because of American agriculture. What do we have at the bottom, guys? Grains, carbs, things that are made with grain, things that are grown. I have to grow the grain and then the seeds and everything to make all of that. Right? So agriculture in the 70s was a real issue in the States. Okay? And there was a chap, his name was a senator, Senator Butts, okay? And he's the head of agriculture. And he was called by Reagan and he said, listen, I'm losing votes here. I don't know, Reagan, Nixon. And Nixon said, I'm losing votes. We need to build middle America is where we need it. They are agriculture, we need to grow agriculture. So they employed a guy named Ansel Keys, okay, who was a metabolic doctor, and he just published a paper, and the whole thing was also cardiovascular heart disease was a problem, so they kind of put it under the guise of cardiovascular heart disease, but it wasn't that. It was geared towards building agriculture, right? And Ansel Keys actually cherry-picked data from countries to suit his hypothesis. I mean, he committed the biggest crime in science that you can. He wrote his hypothesis, and anyone know what I'm talking about here? It's hypothesis, you know it. So when you do a thesis, when I did my thesis, I wrote my hypothesis. Then I had to go out and try and disprove my hypothesis. If I couldn't disprove it, chances are it's true. Right? That's how you do in any scientific paper, whatever it is you're testing. You write down your hypothesis, and then my effort is to prove my hypothesis wrong. If I can't do that, well, then it's probably right. Ansel Keys did the opposite. He wrote his hypothesis and did everything he could to prove it true. And then he cherry-picked data to suit your results. And he did that. He threw in some extraneous ones just to show that, okay, well, I've had one or two others. But he basically picked 12 countries of the 20 countries that were tested, and he only used 12 in his data and showed that a high correlation of fat or saturated fat in your diet caused heart disease. Okay? The problem is he didn't include the other 8 countries that actually had other data outside that actually would prove this linear theory incorrect. Okay, but it was so that they could promote this. And this is what they came up with, American Diets Association. That was their food pyramid. What's at the top? Sugary drinks and oil and fat. There's my protein, my dairy, fruit and vegetables, and things that are grown occupy the bottom of my pyramid. Do you see that? So that really promotes agriculture, doesn't it? Yeah. Suddenly, Nixon won Middle America, won another term of election. Okay, so the paleo diet. Okay, so the paleo diet now is what people are going on about. Fruit and nuts and vegetables are at the top. Meat, eggs, and fish are at the bottom. So protein is my dominant food source. So, Noakes and these people who postulate that this is the way you should eat, kind of not set in stone here, but I'm going to tell you what they find. So they're saying that the stomach, the way our internal innards are organized, is actually more like a lion, like a carnivore, rather than a herbivore. Okay, we don't chew the cud. We don't masticate our food enough. We don't regurgitate and bring it back up. Okay, we don't do that. We don't have the system to do that. We are actually meat eaters, the way we are designed, man. And that's what they're saying, is that that's why we should eat this way, not that way. We are not ruminants. Ruminants eat this way. Yes? It kind of makes sense when you think about it. Okay. So that's what they're pushing, is this whole paleo diet. So, for me, it's all about balance. I need balance in my diet. Right? And an Eskimo's balance is obviously different to a Bushman's balance. Okay. But what's the difference? 3 square meals of grazing. What should we do, folks? We're always told 3 square meals a day. But I find some of my clients, they really struggle with this. That is much more effective for them, grazing. Through the day, little meals. Okay. How many of you have 3 square meals a day? Breakfast, lunch, and supper. How many of you eat consistent breakfast? Not many. How many of you graze, eat 6 meals a day? So breakfast and you graze through the day, you're eating. How many of you have 2 meals a day? How many of you have 1 meal a day? No, but I'm talking about meal, like actually have 1 meal. Now, some people do, and unfortunately in the golf industry, a lot of people live like this because we're up so early, I can't eat breakfast. I'm here early, I'm out with the greenkeeper setting up the course, then I've got the members. What's the first meal that you have in the morning? 11 o'clock, exactly. That's usually, a lot of people are like that. Okay. Well, what is it that you have at 11 o'clock?
Toasted sandwich or something.
Okay. Yeah. But so what do you have from the time you wake up to 11 o'clock? What do you consume? Water. Now, most people, coffee. They 11 o'clock to get through to that point. And that's very true. And what often happens there is your blood sugar just goes, you're not getting your blood sugar up. So they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? Break the fast. Breakfast. So to me, the most important meal of the day is the 4 o'clock meal, because that's the one where we cheat. That's the proper meal. But it's true, breakfast is the most important meal, and get your energy in early. The way I explain it to my clients is like it's like a steam train. So a steam train pulls out of the station, but there's no coal in there. So it's like, it gradually chugs its way out, and then, what's your biggest meal of the day? Dinner. Yeah, exactly. So that now you're pulling into the station at the end of your journey, you're going, shh, look at all this coal, shove it onto the furnace quickly, and then poof, snuff it out. Okay, now we're going to go to bed. Now you've got all this latent rotting coal in your furnace. Well, what happens to that latent rotting coal that's sitting inside my body? Where does it go? It gets stored as fat, yeah. Because my body goes, well, you know what, I didn't eat yesterday until 12, and the day before I didn't eat until 1. So all this energy that I've got now, I need to just store it to make sure that I've got it for energy the next day. And how does my body store energy? Fat. Hey, not athletes, eh? Definitely not an athlete. But have they won on tour? Yeah. Absolutely. They've won majors. 2. Do you know that John Daly is the only major winner never to have played in a Ryder Cup? Did these guys in their prime compete on a regular basis on tour? No. It was miscut, win. Top 10, miscut, 25th, miscut. I mean, Lumpy only won in tournaments where it wasn't sweltering hot. Okay, and the course was pretty flat. Okay. So you can't perform like this anymore. You look at the top 10 players in the world, look at the top 20, top 25 in fact. None of them look like this. They've changed. The golf has changed. Okay, life has changed. You can't perform like this anymore. And Tim Noakes is at the forefront of driving people away from this thing. That poison. And it's interesting. When I was in London, Harley Street. Anyone heard of Harley Street? Okay, Harley Street is like the medical cosmos, like epicenter of the world. All the major doctors live there, and that's where they practice out of. And there's a Harley Street cardiothoracic surgeon, one of the top globally, but certainly the best in the UK. And I was very fortunate to attend a talk with him. And there were only about 10 of us at the talk. And I didn't ask the question, somebody else asked the question. And they said, if you could invent the cure for something, what would it be? And I was sitting there thinking, okay, cure for cancer, cure for AIDS. And he said, no, you know what, I wouldn't invent a cure for something. I would uninvent sugar. Okay, from a cardiothoracic surgeon. Okay. Now, what does a cardiothoracic surgeon deal with? Heart disease, diabetes, obesity. It all comes from cardiovascular heart disease. Right. These 2 things cause that. The reason Tim Noakes is now on this whole anti-sugar drive is because he is diabetic. Well, he has a genetic predisposition to diabetes. Okay, his father died of diabetes, his brother's a diabetic, and that's his concern. That's why he went on this whole big, crusade. Okay, so this doctor said, I invent sugar. And, so he said, what causes cardiovascular heart disease, folks?
Sugar.
No. Let me answer what causes cardiovascular heart disease? Saturated fat, cholesterol, right? Yes, cholesterol is the enemy, right? That was the whole thing. So we need to cut out the cholesterol. And so much so that people who are supposedly going to suffer cardiovascular heart disease, they get put on a drug called a statin, okay, which is a cholesterol-lowering drug. It actually breaks down cholesterol for you. And they've actually found that, he said, no, cholesterol doesn't kill people. He said, because I had people who died on my table with a cholesterol level of 7.2 and a cholesterol level of 4.8. So it can't be cholesterol. Because one is exorbitantly high and one is considered low. So it can't be cholesterol. So I started realizing that, there's something wrong here. We all think cholesterol is killing everybody, but it's not. So he started doing, when somebody died on his table, he'd do a very brief autopsy. And he would look at the arterial wall of their aortic valve. So that's the valve that comes into the heart, right? The main big one that brings the blood back to the heart. And he started looking at it, and he started noticing that the people who died and suffered cardiovascular heart disease, the wall of the arterial aorta was scuffed, very rough. Whereas the inside of a healthy aorta is smooth. So now he started realizing, hang on, there's something happening to these valves whilst during their lives that's doing this. So he started doing a nutritional questionnaire, a dietary diary. And people had to write down what they ate every week. And he started noticing the correlation. High sugar caused the scuffing, and people were dying. Low sugar content diet, people were surviving with various levels of cholesterol. So basically, the arterial wall, cholesterol occurs naturally in the body, right? My body will actually manufacture cholesterol if we don't have enough of it in our system. Okay? So the cholesterol would flow through the arterial wall, but it would now have something to catch onto because it's scuffed, so it would gather and collect, causing the blockage, causing the person to die. The way he explained it, he said, it's like, someone gets murdered, cholesterol goes, and sugar's handy goes, here's the knife, and cholesterol runs away, and sugar's left there holding the knife, and the cops are right. Who gets blamed? Cholesterol. Okay, so sugar causes the problem. That was brilliant for me to hear that from a cardiothoracic surgeon, not a nutritionist, not some guy on a tirade, a cardiovascular heart surgeon. So sugar is the problem, folks. We need to cut this thing out of our diets. And the thing is, like, no, let me rephrase that. We need to limit our consumption of this in our diets. Okay, because you can't cut it out, because sugar is in carbohydrate, right? Sugar gives us energy. We need sugar, we need energy, we need carbohydrate, we need it to function. Our brain needs sugar. So we need to make sure that we are still taking on sugars, but not crap sugars, refined sugars, white sugar. Okay, does that make sense? Have I kind of explained that? So, for me, one of the key things is during the day we need to make sure we are hydrated. Water. You've all got a bottle of water on your tables. How much water should we consume a day? 2 liters, 8 glasses. Yeah, just it depends. Obviously, in winter you're not going to consume as much as you would in summer if you're outdoors. You need to consume enough water to hydrate you through the day. Invariably, people say 8 glasses or 2 liters is what we need. So a lot of my clients, I give them a 2 liter bottle of water, and I say, there, that needs to be finished by the time you go to bed. And you're not allowed to jump into bed and go, you have to drink it through the day, right? Some people choose like that. So, and preferably if you can put some salt into that water, you know, that sea salt, that Himalayan rock salt or that pink salt, just put a pinch into the water. You won't taste it, it's not salty. But just the salts, the body will actually absorb the water in. A lot of people complain to me saying, well, I end up going to the toilet every 5 minutes. So they just put that bottle of water on their desk, and by the end of the day, it's finished. Snacking is important. We need to continue snack on through the day, and there's our goji berries, our really rich antioxidant food, and slow release carbohydrates. Nuts obviously also contain good quality proteins in as well. Avocado, okay, very important we get those sort of things into our diet. Main meals, we need a combination. You need a balanced meal of protein, fats, and carbs. Okay, our macronutrients, we need to get them, and make sure that you've got vitamins and minerals in there as well. Okay. Hydration is important. The thing is, the sugary stuff is already, if you're going to have sugar, if you're going to have the chocolate sundae, if it's part of the balanced meal, your body can deal with it. Okay, the problem is a lot of people eat these sugary drinks and chocolate sundaes and things like that on their own. Usually after their dinner, before they go to bed. That's no good. Now I've put my body on this sugar high roller coaster rush again. So if you're going to have your dessert, have it with your meal. Okay, it's a much healthier way to do it, because then it can form part of your balanced meal. But the thing is, if you're having a burger and chips and a dessert, now you've overcooked the carbohydrate. You'd be far better to take the bun out there, eat the patty and the vegetables, bin the chips, and then have your chocolate sundae. That's fine, because I've balanced it, haven't I? I've got my carbohydrates and my sugar from my chocolate sundae, and I've got my protein and everything from my steak and my vegetables. There's a balanced meal. People go to me, but that's crazy. You're eating chocolate sundaes. You're telling me that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to gain weight. I'm saying you're not going to gain weight because your carb is balanced. The problem is that most people would have the chips and the bun and the chocolate sundae. Now you've overcooked the carbohydrate. So we all have the same 24 hours a day, right? That's what we do with it, and we are what we repeatedly do. So that's why I say build a habit. If you can do something for 21 days, it will become a habit. You want to start eating healthy. You want to change your life. You want to start exercising. You want to start moving. Start today. It takes one step. You do it for 21 days, it will become a habit. It will be easy to keep it going. Unfortunately, it's very hard to drop it in those first 21 days because you will be attacked by all sorts of excuses, mostly from within, not from without. So that for me is a big thing. Is if we are what we repeatedly do. If you can repeat it and make it a habit, that's what we want, because then it will become part of our performance there, part of our daily life. Now, I don't expect you to be 100% of the time. That's very difficult. Okay? But I've asked my clients to be 80% 100% of the time. So if you can be 80% 100% of the time, you're going to be good. Because 100% of the time is very difficult. You will fall off your perch. And when you fall harder, and then you're like, well, this was a waste of my time. So trying to be 100% of the time is very difficult. And I'm talking about like being good about not having sugar and not having Coke and sweeties and whatever. Don't beat yourself up if you fall off your perch a little bit. As long as 80% of your diet or whatever you're doing is good, you're still fine. Okay. The problem is when you fall, if you've been going 100% for 19 days and then suddenly you cheat, now you're broken. Now I'm like, oh my word, I failed. Okay, and I find that's a very common thing that people struggle with that. This life versus work thing, and I'm going to keep this short because it's quite simple. Either or. Some people live their lives, some people work. Not a lot of people do both. I'm very fortunate that I do both. And I think a lot of you do both, because your passion is your occupation. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to work myself to death and then I'm going to retire. And then I'll be okay. I mean, I've got friends of mine who work in the finance game. They hate their lives, they hate what they do, they hate their boss, they hate their job, they hate everything about them. But they're like, no, that's at 40 I'll retire and then I'll be fine. Dude, you're probably not even going to make 40 at this rate. Okay? You're going to have a cardiovascular issue or episode.